You know, it's not very often, I like to admit it, but yes, I geek out over certain artists. You know, you get that kind of sick in your stomach feeling before you meet them. And one artist that always does that for me is Miss Gwen Stefani. And you know, she's been doing this for over a decade. Interviews, leading a very public life. So it's not easy to get an unguarded, open, candid interview with her. But when I stopped by on her Harajuku Lovers tour recently, we got really real. We talked about everything from having babies to No Doubt to stage fright, and tucked away in her tour bus. It was so real that I had to show the interview in its entirety. So here it is, something you probably won't see very often. Gwen Stefani, raw. Well, first we have to explain where we are. Okay. Otherwise people will be like, is this your actual bus?
This is actually my bus, yeah. It was my first time ever having my own bed in the back, which is really, I thought that I might not like it because I might want to go in the bunk because I'm used to the whole coffin situation, but it's been so great. It's just really luxurious, and I haven't slept for probably months and months and months, but since the tour started I've been getting lots of naps. So I've been finding my sleep on the tour so far.
Well, you know you've made it when you've got your own queen-size bed.
It's pretty good back there, I have to say.
Well, I think that's really interesting that you had never really planned on going on tour. It seems like all these things happen almost kind of like, well, I just want to make a little tiny dance record.
Yeah.
Well, just, and then maybe a couple of pieces of clothing. Yeah. Something I could wear for myself. And suddenly you're closing out, New York Fashion Week at the biggest, on the biggest runway probably on the planet. I'm not sure even what the question is, other than that it's incredible to me that you don't have this grand master plan. You're like, and then in 5 years I'll put the solo album to bed and I'll join music.
I don't have a plan. It's been basically chasing dangling carrots everywhere I look. I'm like, and I've been on this sort of Alice in Wonderland trip, and it all just came from a greedy idea of a dance record. Like, that'd be fun to indulge. Like, I want to be on a Club Nouveau record, I want to try that for a second, and then cut to working with all these incredible people, cut to making this record that was beyond my dreams. I mean, it was everything I wanted and more, and then people liking it, and having a hit, and then having a hit like Holla Back Girl. It kind of, it's one thing to have a hit, but a crossover hit that kind of transcends musical boundaries and cultural barriers. And Don't Speak was sort of like that, worldwide, where you'd go to different countries and people would know this song and feel the song even though they didn't know what you were really singing. And Holla Back kind of has that feeling for me, of this kind of massive thing that kind of, I'm like, you know who I am? Like, you like my song? That's funny, Cool, thanks. And so, it's kind of wild to go out on tour and have it all become 3D because it's this, I don't know, the songs live is just a whole different thing, and it's something I've done forever. It's that what No Doubt was for 9 years before we were, ever on the radio. We were a live band, so I couldn't kind of deny myself of this kind of, and it was supposed to be a month, and now it's like 3 months. So
I don't think, at least for me, maybe because Madonna's just putting out an album,
I know,
and I've seen her shows,
yeah,
and I can.
Did you see the last? I saw the last one in London. It was, I was like. And that's, it's mind-blowing to me because she does do all the choreography, and it's so exhausting, the whole thing. I was just watching her. I wanted to go to sleep afterward. It was just like, wow, incredible. But what were you going to say?
What I was going to say was, she has to be at least somewhat of an inspiration to all sort of female artists.
Yeah, of
really
course.
Kind of doing everything. Are there parts of her career or her as an artist that really inspire you? Or
she's been an inspiration for a long time, and clearly a huge musical inspiration on this record. I mean, there's certain songs on this album that were, I remember I went to dinner at her house. Me and Gavin went over there, and it was right before I started the album, and I told her, I said, I want to do this 80s kind of inspired dance record, and she kind of rolled her eyes, and she was like, I was like, no, but you understand, I'm so inspired, and so it's like there's direct inspiration from those, Holiday and the early songs that they were playing at Circle K, at Knott's Berry Farm when I used to go dancing, so, along with Debbie Deb and Club Nouveau and Lisa Cult Jam and all the people that I always keep referencing on this album. But, it is amazing to me when people are able to put a whole kind of show together now after doing this, and I don't know if it's not at that level of probably, you know, it's my version of it, yeah. But it's a lot to think about, you know, because with No Doubt they do pick up a lot of slack, like musically and like putting the set together, and you know, everybody plays different roles, and this was all on my shoulders. I had people around me helping me. It's just something I never did before, so I've got to experience it now on this tour, and it's hard.